Welcome to the podcast, Let the Prophet Speak. Today we will continue our study of the book of Joshua, the book of Sefer Yehoshua, chapter 20, that's Parak Chaf. And if you recall, in chapter 19, we read about the final decisions regarding the borders and boundaries of each of the tribes. Joshua himself had received his portion for his family. Caleb had received his portion for his family several chapters ago. All of the tribes have their portions. Now, God comes to Yoshua and says as follows, Vayedaber Adonai el Yoshua lemar. God spoke to Joshua as follows. Daber el bnei Yisrael lemar. Speak to the people of Israel and tell them as follows. Tenu lachem et horei hamiklat. You need to set aside for yourself, make for yourselves the cities of refuge. Asher dibarti aleichem, as I spoke to you biad Moshe, through Moshe. This is really quite remarkable that once the land is divided up, everyone has their portion. The first command that God gives to Joshua, the first instructions that Joshua has to fulfill, is setting aside cities of refuge, places where people can run to for refuge when their lives are threatened because of a deed that they had done unwittingly. Lanus Shama, the verse 3 says, Rotseach, that anyone who is guilty of manslaughter, I don't mean that as the modern legal term, Makei nefesh bishgaga, when someone were to kill someone else, to take away someone's life by accident, bivli da'as, without any intention to do so, but nonetheless his life is in danger because the family of the one who passed away wants to take revenge, so he can run to the city of refuge where he will be protected and be safe. These towns should be a place to run to, Migol Adam, from the blood avenger. We have to think of a society which is very different than the one we live in today, although there are still places in the world that have systems in quotes of justice that are like this, where if someone has died or gets killed, even if it's done by accident, that the family of the victim will take revenge. This kind of justice is inappropriate. This is not the kind of world that God wants the people of Israel to help establish. He wants them to establish a world in which when someone does something by accident, he can find safety. So what will happen is, verse 4, V'nos el achas me'ha'arim ha'ela, and if he has to run from the blood avenger, he can run to one of these cities, V'yomad pesach shar ha'ir, and he could stand at the gate, at the open entryway to the city, V'diber bi'oznei ziknei ha'ir ha'yes tvarav, and he can speak his words to the elders, the leaders of that town, V'yosvu oso ha'ira aleim, and they can gather him into the city, V'nosnu lo makom, and they can give him a place to stay, V'yashav imam, and he can dwell and live with them. V'chi yirdof goel adam achrav, and when the blood avenger does chase after him, in other words, if he does chase after him, v'lo yaskiru et rotzeach biyado, if they should not allow the murderer, the rotzeach, to be given over to him, because he did not intentionally kill his friend, he killed his friend unintentionally. He wasn't his enemy from the days prior. He wasn't an enemy and killed in hatred. It happened by accident. And he shall remain and live in that town until he is able to stand trial before the Ada means the gathering of leaders, an assembly, basically the court. Ad And the purpose of the standing trial is to determine if it was indeed an accident or not. And also ad mos hakohen hagadol, until the high priest passes away, asher yeh bayamim, whoever the high priest would be of those days. Oz yoshuv rotzeach, then, in other words, if he stands in front of the court, they determine that that indeed was an accident. Then he remains in that town until the high priest passes away. Then when the high priest passes away, he can go and return home. He does not have to remain in this town anymore, and he presumably would have the protection of the legal system from the blood avenger at that time. Vayakdishu, so the people listen to these instructions, and they set aside at Kedesh, the town of Kedesh, Bagolil, Bahar Naphtali, which is in the portion of the mountain, this region that was inhabited by the tribe of Naphtali, and then in the Galil region, the Galilee region. Viat Shechem, Bahar Ephraim, so that's in the northern portions, and in the central area, in the mountainous region of Ephraim, the city of Shechem, they had Kiryat Arba, and then in the more southern portion, the town of Kiryat Arba, Hebron, which is also known as Hebron, Bahar Yehuda, in the mountainous region of Judah. And these were all, of course, on the west bank of the Jordan River, but on the east bank of the Jordan River, they also set aside 3 towns. Nasnu at Betzer Bamidbar, they assigned the town of Betzer in the wilderness region, Bamishar, in the plateau area, the Mimate Reuven, which was in the portion of Reuven, Viet Ramot Bagilad Mimate Gad, in the town of Ramot, which is in Gilad, in the portion of Gad, Viet Golan Babashan Mimate Menashe, and the town of Golan, which is in the Bashan region, which was inhabited by the portion of the tribe of Menashe that lived on that bank of the river. These were the towns that were set aside, that were designated l'chol b'nei Yisrael, for all of the people of Israel, vilager hagar b'tocham, and to the converts who resided among them, those that had joined the people that were not genetically b'nei Yisrael, children of Israel, but they had joined the people. Again, emphasizing the fact that there were those that had joined the people of Israel. Lanus shama, that they can run there. Kol makei nefesh bishkoga, anyone that killed anyone by accident. V'lo yamos, in this way he would not be killed. Biyad goal adam, at the hands of the blood avenger. Adam do lifnei ha'ida, until he stands in front of a court, which may then decide to administer capital punishment should the court determine that it really wasn't an accident. So this idea, the concept that we are setting up a society of justice, a society where death isn't meted out by one family avenging the death of another or whatever, but that it has to stand trial, and the person has a place to go where he can be safe. This is the foundation of the new society that the people are supposed to be setting up in this new land that they are now beginning to inhabit. This concludes chapter 20. Thank you so much for studying it together with me. Looking forward to studying 21 and, of course, the rest of the book of Joshua together.